Stroza just able to hold firm ahead of Jose Serrano for now as well. Keep an eye out for either.BraiN. He's having something of a quiet race. And look at the closing speed in the slipstream there for Miyazono. Sasaki early on the brakes. He knows that you don't want to make the same mistakes that Lopez did. Hello, enter stage left. That's Angel Stroza trying to go the long way around the outside, but you have to wake up pretty early to try and fall off Takuma Sasaki. He probably knows these roads a little bit better than Angel Stroza.
Isn't that insane that you can be going 380 kph and the guy drives by you with that speed differential? Great to Kombat. Unsurprisingly, though, I think, I saw that coming. Coco Lopez getting the same penalty Guy Barber got. It was effectively the same incident there. So Coco Lopez getting slapped for that. But meanwhile, the fight for first now really between these 5 cars. There's a bit of a gap behind us to either.BraiN in the R32. But on board again with the NSX Type R of Valerio Gallo, currently second in the standings in our Nations Cup. So again, looking for a good position here, looking for a good result, and just try and put himself in a nicer order for the race coming, the grand final coming later on.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity here for Gallo to try and take profit courtesy of that incident for Lopez, especially with the penalty to compound the Spaniard's woes. Gallo there, brilliant drive, isn't it? Fantastic. Lopez with another 1 second penalty to add to his woes there as well. Down on the brakes we go into the hairpin. Gallo's just going to bide his time. There's no point going and diving up the inside because you're going to lose all of that by the time you come to this next straight.
Yeah, he did back off there, I think, to get this toe. This is how strong the toe is. So right now, we're in P5. Let's see how much time we can gain being the last car in the train. Or saying that, this car's rocketing away from the ASX down the straight. Let's see what Gallo can do as Serrano moves ahead of Stroza. Who's that as well? That either.BraiN in the skyline. Look at the power of the thing. But he's passed Valerio Gallo. He's now chasing the cars in front, though he's fallen back by again. But you can see just how strong the toe is. And again, Sasaki and Miyazono trade places. I think they're being a bit careful, but they're saying that. Miyazono trying to keep it up the inside. There's Valerio Gallo diving up the inside of everyone up into P3. Was there contact there, Tom?
I don't know if there was. Stroza was out well wide, but I think he was on that course to himself. Oh, a bit of contact to the wall there as well. Serrano's in the middle of a bit of a pickle here because he's got DiaBoLiCBraiN in front, but he's trying to high rather, I should say, but also trying to attack the driver in front. And sure enough, you change to the next corner, and the order has changed as well. DiaBoLiCBraiN side by side now with the Ferrari as we come through this ever-sweeping series of corners, and DiaBoLiCBraiN just keeping his powder dry for the time being.
This is just, what a race this is. What cars these are. The speeds are ridiculous. And the thing is, at these speeds, if you do get something wrong, if you miss your braking point by, Gallo just driving by Sasaki there. He did need invited twice for that, didn't he? So Gallo now up into second place. Been a great drive from the Italian so far. Of course, his cars are very different from the X2090s, but we've seen this with Valerio. He really likes this production-style car. Car a bit softer, a bit more roll to it. He just loves this sort of car and really is just doing so well today.
I'm loving these production cars as well because we get to see the beautiful interiors that the team at Polyphony have modelled as well. I was actually watching on board with Valerio Gallo a few minutes ago, looking at the clock, and I noticed that the clock does actually work in real time as well. Just that little attention to detail that you just don't see anywhere else. Meanwhile, Sasaki is keeping an eye on his clock because he knows that the time will be running out as we head to the halfway stage, as he now gets past the Honda NSX of Valerio Gallo and back through into second position. Look at this, 3 abreast as we come through the tunnel. Oh, contact there with DiaBoLiCBraiN and Stroza. You've got to be so careful of that because these cars, when they're on the edge of adhesion like they are, you can flick them round with your little finger and it doesn't take a lot of contact at all to ruin your race. DiaBoLiCBraiN keeping a watching brief. We now ride on board with him. This is a familiar sight for you if your name is Jimmy Broadbent because that's a similar interior for your car. Look at that, Sasaki on the inside and Gallo as well. It's going to get messy, this one, isn't it, in the closing stages? You can just sense it's going to really bubble up. And look at that, DiaBoLiCBraiN with a lunge to the inside of Serrano as well. I don't think he'll make that stick, but somehow he's got traction on the inside here against the Spaniard, and if he can hold it around the outside, no, Serrano has got track position.
You can just see in the traction zones, but this thing's four-wheel drive compared to his rear-wheel drive cars in front. He's able to get that power down a bit quicker, but then through these this midsection just doesn't quite have the same cornering ability. So it's really interesting to see the strengths and weaknesses of the cars around this Tokyo Expressway circuit. And you see the gap really opening up there to the cars in front, but behind us is a 3.5 second gap. So the top 6 sort of are comfy right now, and a reminder that it is a top 6 that will be scoring points in the grand final a bit later on. So good practice for either.BraiN, but now closing back up to this leading pack. So there's a little bit of cat and mouse here, isn't there, because of this slipstream coming in. So it's just trying to position yourself in the best place going onto that massive front straight.
Yeah, there is a fair bit of yin and yang going on in this race. Lopez, by the way, down in 10th position. His race not going well at all, and that's going to give him a big uphill task for the grand final in the X2019s a little bit later on. But if anyone can turn it round, Coco Lopez can. If you remember, he started last on the grid in the grand final in Prague, managed to get his way up to a podium finish, could have possibly fought for victory. On board we are then here with Kai de Bruyne. He's got Angel Inestrosa directly in front in the Mercedes-AMG Black Series. Then it's Valerio Gallo up the road, and he's going to breeze on by the Mercedes, or is he? Because pulling out the slipstream there is Inestrosa on Valerio Gallo, and de Bruyne there, though he's got a fair bit of straight line speed, and that's where the strength of this Nissan GTR seems to be at the moment. He's just not able to use it for the time being. It's going to be a lunge to the inside. We're side by side there for third. Inestrosa looking for the long way around the outside on Valerio Gallo. That'll be a brave move if he can pull it off. Indeed he can't. The door's open for Kai de Bruyne, who gladly tries to walk through it. There's a bit of hip and shoulder going through into turn 2, and de Bruyne does manage to get the better of Inestrosa and goes up into fourth.
The braking zones are just so long here. Such good opportunities for these big moves if you're comfortable in taking that risk. We've seen what happens if you're just a little bit too late on the brakes here. That barrier is just waiting to greet you on the outside of the corner. And again, you're seeing this skyline just a bit weak in this part of the circuit. It can't keep up the rest.
Tell you what it has done, though, it's just allowed the top three to have a little bit of breathing space. Only 7/10 of a second or so, but whilst they've been squabbling amongst one another behind, it's just broken the pack up ever so slightly. And likewise, Miyazono, he's begun to pull the pin now. He's got 8/10 of a second. That's the biggest gap we've seen all race long for the lead.
Say, well, that NSX very, very strong in that midsection there. Looking to that, Gallo is desperate to get by Sasaki. I think he's being held up a little bit now. But as you're saying, this Sasaki being a bit slower is giving Miyazono that gap, and we're getting to the point now where the draft isn't going to quite be as strong. That's what is keeping these guys together. But of course, you might have played the old GT4 driving missions, the slingshot missions. That's what Gallo's going to do now. He's going to wait, try and get a good run out of the corner, get a massive draft. You see the difference between all-wheel drive there and rear-wheel drive to the corner. That's amazing.
Patience is going to reward these drivers, isn't it? You don't want to be like a toddler waiting to open your presents on Christmas Eve. You've got to be careful about how you do this one, and you can see there, Kai de Bruyne now goes up into third position against Valerio Gallo. Across the timeline we go. 3 to go then at the end of this one. So de Bruyne in third position in the Nissan Skyline R32. Just up in front you've got Sasaki, who's taken over from Takuma Miyazono. So that 8/10 of a second lead washed away in the space of less than one straight. Miyazono has a look back on the inside in the Lamborghini. Can he make it stick? I don't think Sasaki's going to hold him up too much, because he knows if they start squabbling, I say that, he goes back through on the inside. Beautiful switchback from Sasaki, but it's released the rest of the field to close right up onto the rear wing of the top two once again.
I know, obviously we're impartial here in the commentary booth, but I am cheering a little bit for that R32 in third place. Kai de Bruyne doing things with that car that I'm not sure it's meant to do, to be honest, but they're now in the back of the train. Look how close these guys are. 6 cars all separated by about a second as we're on the lap 8 of 10. So only about a lap and 2 laps and a half to sort this all out for our guys here. Jose Serrano on board in that awesome Ferrari F40, always also looking to pounce. You get the real impression, Tom, that anyone could win this race.
Yeah, it is going to be a lottery. Oh, de Bruyne's wide, though. That's allowed Gallo through, and Serrano possibly to pick up the pieces as well. De Bruyne's still there on the inside, trying to hold firm for 5th position at the moment, and you can see up in front now as well. Once again, that yin and yang, the ebbing and flowing of this race. Sasaki leading from Miyazono. Gallo and Miyazono now side by side for second as we come down into the hairpin. Is Miyazono going to launch it through on the inside, or is he going to try and wait another day? No, he's going to go through. He's got track position on the inside. Will Gallo try and challenge him on the exit of the corner? He just lets him through and decides to go into the slipstream to attack him on this start-finish straight. So 2 to go then.
The NSX just can't get out of the corner. Every time you see it struggle compared to the cars around, and again in the background, Kai de Bruyne in that 4-wheel drive R32 GTR just pulls alongside with ease, and they're now side by side in the mirror. What a shot that is as we come down again to the first corner on board Miyazono. Look at that speed, look at the mirror. Kai de Bruyne is there behind, challenging. He's going to go up to second place. Will he ever go to Miyazono for first, and on the inside as well? Oh, that was...
He goes. It bottlenecks up into turn 1, and de Bruyne round like a tabletop at the start of the penultimate lap. What a shame for the Dutchman. We've always talked about him and his misfortune in the GT World Series, and unfortunately it comes home to roost as he plummets down the order. That releases 6 cars now down to 5. Miyazono it is that leads.
What a shame for Kai de Bruyne. It was a very strong race for him there, but as you say, Tom, the track's just a bit narrower there, and I think he's caught out by that as Gallo goes round the outside of Sasaki, and And now, for the first time, Valerio Gallo is in a position where maybe he can get onto the back of Miyazono, but he's going to be close. That Gallardo in front, I think, is four-wheel drive. So here's a replay of what happened here, Tom.
Yeah, let's have a look. So DeBruyne then go for the move, and yeah, he just clips the wall, doesn't he? There wasn't any contact seemingly with Miyazono. Clips the wall as it bottlenecks up. That sends him round. I talked about the cars being so easy to turn around when you're at that limit, and you can see it there spinning round right to the back of the field. It's now an uphill challenge for DeBruyne, unfortunately, for the grand final. He'll be starting plumb last.
Yeah, he just came round on him. He just turned across the nose of Miyazono, and that was the end. It's a real shame for Kai DeBruyne, but just over 1 lap to go here. The sprint race here at Tokyo Expressway. Takuma Miyazono leads at the last corner. Gallo second, Sasaki third, and now it's going to be the biggest slipstream race of your life. They're all going to want to lead into T1, and Miyazono's in the worst place.
Well, keep an eye out as well for the slipstream here, because we're just about to come across to the timing line and see how far Valerio Gallo is. So look, if there's the start-finish line, what's that going to look like in a lap time? You need to be closer than that in order to challenge for the victory if you're going to go for a slipstream move. Gallo then now does go for the move against Takuma Miyazono, and hello, here comes Jose Serrano. There's more contact there. Miyazono gets biffed into the wall, but he's got the advantage of the slipstream, and it's Serrano going to be in a bit of lumber here. No, he's still there, ready to try and take advantage down to the first corner. Miyazono with a lunge on the inside, leans on Valerio Gallo. Gallo's going to get shuffled to the outside. Miyazono is going to have a sniff through into turn 2, but can't do anything, and now it's Gallo that leads, but he's slightly in the wall. Sasaki's ready there to take the advantage of it as well, and likewise Serrano, and also Angel Enestrosa. This is going to get messy.
So Gallo is out front, but he needs a gap. That car is not good off the last corner. Any of the cars behind him will out-drag him down to the first corner. So at the moment, Gallo's got to drive for his life in this middle sector. Miyazono is still there. We have our second and third place in the championship separated by only 0.3 of a second coming into the last section. Now he's putting a bit of a gap, Tom, but is that going to be enough going on to the final straight?
Time is going to tell here. Gallo's pulled an advantage, but like you say, is it going to be enough for him to have that in his pocket? There are the steely eyes of determination for the Italian, the winner, of course, of the grand final from Prague last time out. Second he sits in the standings. His nearest rival to that is Coque Lopez. He's 11th, and that's where it looks like he'll be starting the grand final from. So this will be a great opportunity here for Valerio Gallo. Down into the hairpin. Miyazono late on the brakes. He's deep. Could that cost him a possibility of second place even here as we come on to the start-finish straight then for the final time? It's Gallo, Miyazono, Sasaki and Serrano. Miyazono's close. He's in the slipstream. We're going to go through into the tunnel and we're going to come to the timing line. Is Gallo going to be a sitting duck, or is Miyazono going to pounce? It's a drag to the line in the sprint race here in the Nations Cup. Is it Miyazono or Gallo? 0.003 of a second in it, and Miyazono wins on the streets of Tokyo. Gallo finishes second, Sasaki in third. What a finish! Well, let's have a look then, shall we, at some highlights from that sprint race. It was always going to be a fast and frenetic affair. It saw Takuma Sasaki starting on pole position from Miyazono, and then we saw Serrano going through, or trying to, at least on the outside. A couple of drivers ended up in the wall.
No one made that first corner, did they, Tom? It was a bit rough and ready through there. But Miyazono did lead the race from the start. Here was an on-board from Coque Lopez. This took our championship leader out of contention very early, just getting his braking zone wrong. Got a penalty for that, and for an instant at the start of the race there, you can see it unfold, and the reaction there from Coque Lopez.
Okay, disappointing there for Lopez. Meanwhile, at the front, Sasaki reneged the lead over to Takuma Miyazono. So Inestrosa running a little bit wide as Gallo kept himself firmly in contention. And either.BraiN was a late race charger as well, as Sasaki got the better of Miyazono for the race lead at the start of lap 8. And you wondered whether DeBruyne would be able to join in on the action and whether he would be in the fight for victory. Unfortunately for the Dutchman, it would not prove to be, as we see Gallo here getting the better. This was DeBruyne's undoing. Flicks the wall over the nose of Takuma Miyazono, and out of contention for the victory, and also putting him at a disadvantage for the grand final as well.
A real shame for that, but here was the defining moment of the race. Miyazono and Gallo. Gallo managing to get by at T1 and just about blocking Miyazono behind him. We thought maybe that would be enough for Gallo to get to the line first, come onto the back straight here, but it wasn't. And at the final second, by 0.003 of a second, Miyazono passes at the line, takes the win, and has pole position for the grand final.
Well, let's catch up with Takuma Miyazono. He's down on the floor talking to Sasha and Jules.
Well done, congratulations.
おめでとうございます。拍手。
Now, as an audience, that was so fun to see Tokyo Expressway with all of those cars. Was it fun? Is fun the right word for you?
見ててすごく面白かったんですけれども、やってて楽しかったですか？
疲れました。
It's so exhausting.
It looked very exhausting.
Is there any moment that you thought you will not win the race? 勝てないと思った瞬間ってレースの中でありましたか？
いや、ずっといいポジション入れたんで、最後ちょっとバレリオ前出られた時はちょっとその焦りはしたんですけど、最終コーナーがヘアピンで、僕のガイルドが4輪駆動でトラクションかかるので、ちょっとこうあえて間を空けて、直線入ればギリギリ抜ききれるかなと思って、最後まで冷静に入れたのが勝因なのかなというふうに思います。
Well, actually not. Well, when Valeria went in front of me at the last corner, I thought, because my car is four-wheel drive, and I just keep a little bit of distance and go straight after the hairpin, and I still thought I can catch up, so there were no worries actually.
Everyone was standing up. It was very exciting.
皆さん立ち上がってました。皆さん楽しかったですか？どうですか？おめでとうございます。Congratulations!
Yes, let's throw it back to Tom and Jimmy.
That was sweaty.
Yeah, cheers Jules, cheers Sasha. Great to hear there from Takuma Miyazono, absolutely delighted, and the crowd loving that one as well. Confirmation of the result sees Takuma Miyazono taking victory by 0.003 of a second. That is going to be one of, if not the closest finish we've seen in GT history.
Yeah, amazing to see that, and I think I lost a part of my voice there when that happened. But Sasaki third, Serrano fourth, Inestrosa fifth, and Callum Roach, good result for him in P6. Of course, and the big casualty, Coque Lopez, unfortunately having an incident in the race. But of course, here's a reminder of our Nations Cup format. 12 drivers throughout the entire season. Round 1, round 2, round 3, where we are now collecting points for that world final at Amsterdam. We will decide our Nations Cup champion for 2024.
Absolutely, and we've also got some campaigns going on within Gran Turismo 7 at the moment as well. Your chance to win some fantastic prizes. And let's be honest, who doesn't love a bit of free stuff? Have a look at this and see what it's all about.
Don't forget that you can get involved with the World Series inside Gran Turismo 7 with the bonus campaign. Just click on the Winners Campaign banner on the GT7 world map, and that's going to give you the chance to win 1 million credits for each of the Nations Cup and the Manufacturers Cup too. Just think of all of the free stuff you could buy with that. Don't forget you can enter and vote right up until the start of each grand final. Watch the World Series broadcast through your GT7 game, and you'll unlock some special in-game rewards through the Viewers Campaign. Watch the Nations Cup in-game and you'll receive the iconic 2008 Zanavi Nismo GTR GT500. If you want to see how you compare to our superstar competitors, head over to a new time trial in Gran Turismo 7, which mirrors the Nations Cup Grand Final here in Tokyo. The competition duration and car category is on screen now and will take place at Grand Valley Highway 1. Even more Gran Turismo World Series themed race events will be available in daily races of sport mode. Similar to the Manufacturers Cup here in Tokyo, featuring GR3 cars racing on Mount Panorama. Tune in and claim your rewards.
Well, there we are. Don't say we don't give you anything, because we've got some good stuff going on there, I reckon.
Yeah, and some credits too.
Absolutely. Right, Grand Valley Highway is the circuit that we're going to be competing on then for the grand final of the Nations Cup. Looking forward to this one because it's a bit of a classic, and we're in the Red Bull X 2019. There's 3 different tyre compounds, 27 laps. Of course, the grid order decided by that sprint race that we had a few moments ago. And look at that, a snake of corners there, 19 turns in total.
Yeah, a couple of good lunging zones, TM, as we've dubbed them now. T2's there, amazing place to overtake, as is the hairpin down at T6. And of course, these things have quite a decent slipstream as well. So if you get close enough on the straight, there is a possibility to do that. But of course, these Red Bull X 2019 cars, very much a downforce car. So if you follow too closely, especially through that midsection, you can find yourself burning those tyres nice and quickly. And that, of course, is part of the strategy for these guys. Racing hard, medium and soft tyres being used, all have to be used at least once.
Drivers to watch then. This is my pick, Coque Lopez, only because he's got a mission on his hands. And if you look back to Prague a few weeks ago, he managed to go from last almost up to first, finishing in 3rd place. He loves the next 2019. He loves pulling about a different strategy, and he could be one to watch.
He likes the mission, does Coque, doesn't he? I mean, he's been here for a long time, very experienced. There's a reason why he's our current leader. But of course, he has this man, our winner from last time out at Prague, Valerio Gallo. I think it'd be fair to say he's never really been a specialist in the X 2019, but he's always quick enough to be in a position to win, as he was in Prague. So, of course, definitely one to look for, as is this man, Kiyomiya Zono. I think probably one of the fastest drivers in the X World 2019.
And I dare say that the crowd here are going to be rooting for him that little bit harder here tonight, aren't they? Let's be honest. I think he's in with a good shout of it. And, of course, they're in the Red Bull X 2019, Jimmy. We love that car. We've seen it in every single Nations Cup event up until now. 816 horsepower, 650 kilos. It's an absolute weapon.
Yeah, I mean, comfortably one of the fastest cars in Gran Turismo 7. And always brings out the best in our competitors. You need lightning reaction times to get the most out of this thing. Something I found out, unfortunately, when I tried driving it myself back in Prague.
That's why you're standing here talking.
That's why I'm standing here.
So look, tyre strategies then. What do we reckon to this? Softs, mediums, hards, difference in pace there. Is it going to work out like that, do you reckon?
I'm not sure. I mean, we like to see people try a free stop quite often for a double soft stint, because it really does make a difference in this car having a good tyre underneath you. But you can see there, it's quite a decent pit loss here, 25 seconds plus 3 litres per second of refueling. Now the drivers are going to need to put some fuel in at the point of this race. You can't just go from the start to the end on one tank, so that will come into strategy too. Our winning predictions so far, just like in the Manufacturers' Cup, very much Kiyomiya Zono being the favourite.
Absolutely. Don't forget, this is your last chance to get involved in the Predict the Winners campaign before this race gets underway. So if you aren't doing it, go and do it now. And as I said, you could be in with a chance of winning some cool stuff as well. So Kiyomiya Zono, the hot favourite amongst our audience here, and get yourself involved in the conversation. Anyway, we are about ready to get the grand final underway in a few moments' time. But before that, let's head down to Jules and Sasha.
Oh, Sasha, it's almost time for the grand final.
I already lost a couple of pounds watching this race.
I'm very sweaty.
Me too. How about the crowds? さあ皆さんはどうなんでしょう。盛り上がってるのかちょっと聞いてみましょうか。ここまで楽しんでますか？
最高です。
最高です。Excellent.
Okay, are you ready? It is now time for the Nations Cup Grand Final. Are you ready, Tokyo? Let's hear it. Okay, Tokyo is ready. We're ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Do it.
It's round 3 of the 2024 Gran Turismo World Series. The crowd are going to be on their feet for this one, I'm sure. The grand final of the Nations Cup is along the way. Red Bull X 2019's at Grand Valley Highway 1. Let's see what happens as we get ready for our last event before the World Finals in December. Here's the grid then. Kiyomiya Zono lines up on pole position after taking victory in the sprint race by 0.03 of a second from this man, Valerio Gallo. Alongside him on the front row there with Sasaki heading row 2. 2, and Jose Serrano alongside on row 2 alongside him there. Row 3 is headed by Angel Enestrosa, the Chilean driver, with Callum Roach. Good performance for him in the sprint race to qualify in 6th position ahead of Guy Barbara, the Australian. Next up, you've got Adriano Carrazza. He'll be hoping for good fortune here tonight. Robbie Heck down in 9th position on the grid. But then we've got a couple of outliers. Kylian Drumont, didn't expect to see him quite as far down the order in 10th position. And Koke Lopez, the man who leads the championship, down in 11th with Kai de Bruyne, the unlucky Dutchman for company. Now, our first look at the tyre strategy. Unsurprisingly there, Takuma Miyazono going on the soft compound of tyre. He wants to do what we saw in the Manufacturers' Cup a couple of hours ago, Jimmy, and break away early. Yeah, very similar strat here. I mean, basically, if you're at the front, go for the soft tyre, break away, try and use that in the space you have in front of you, and just hope you don't get overtaken by the car behind. That is worst case scenario for Miyazono, so he needs to lead this first stint. Likewise, on the other side of the coin, we've got Guy Barbara, Robbie Heck, Drumont, Koke Lopez and Kai de Bruyne all opting to start on that hard compound of tyre towards the back of the field, get out of the way early while you're in traffic, and then get onto that fast tyre later on. Let's see what is going to happen. There is Angel Enestrosa, the Chilean driver, returning from injury after breaking his leg last year, and he's back to full fitness now. We'll see whether he is going to be able to get the cat amongst the pigeons and crucially get himself off the bottom of the scoreboard. It's going to be all eyes on the lights in a few moments' time. Nations Cup action about to begin then here for the grand final. 27 laps of action begins now as Takuma Miyazono leads the field across the line, followed by Gallo and Sasaki coming down in towards turn 2. This is the first big heavy braking zone. The field, of course, a fair bit spread out due to that rolling start, and Miyazono with a lot more grip underneath him as well, courtesy of those soft tyres. Let's see what happens with the medium shod runners. Will they start squabbling amongst themselves, or will they start playing it safe in the early stages of this race? Either way, it's Miyazono that leads the way out in front through the first few corners. Enestrosa there having a half look to the inside, but also then gets in turn overtaken by Callum Roach. He actually had contact there with Sasaki, which put him back into the field, so already the first move we've seen, possible contact. In fact, there was contact, as Stuart's having a look at that right now, but to be honest, just this first lap stuff, you know, it is what it is. But you see the cars snaking through this midsection. Callum Roach up into 4th place. A great start from the American driver, so him stamping his intent fairly quickly is Callum, as we now come on to this little mini back straight here. Opportunity to overtake if you're close enough using the draft. Will Callum Roach do that on Sasaki here? Is he try? Because we've seen Roach before in these X2019s. He's pretty quick in these, so one to watch, I think. Yeah, he needs to have some good fortune. He hasn't had any of that so far this year, has Callum Roach, another driver who's not off the bottom of the scoreboard. You can see the advantage of that soft compound of tyre. 1.5 seconds, and we're not even at the end of the first lap here for Takuma Miyazono. Gallo building a bit of a gap though to Sasaki in 3rd position. The slipstream range about 1.2 seconds or so, and Gallo's trying to break out of that slipstream range. You can see coming down the start-finish straight here, Roach right on the wheel tracks here of Takuma Sasaki. I think he's a bit far away, and we see a smorgasbord of hard tyre shod runners. Barbara, Drumont, de Bruyne and Lopez all getting off that hard tyre as soon as they possibly can. They're going on to the mediums by the looks of things. Well, that says one or two things. Either they're very confident the medium tyre can go a long way in this race, as can the soft, or there's going to be a free stop for a double soft, as we've seen in a couple of races before. Koke Lopez, unsurprisingly, coming in straight away. This is someone who needs to get out of the pits and have some clear area. I'm not sure he's going to, though. Everyone's pitting at the same time. And where is Koke? He's towards the back of his back, isn't he? So yeah, some people have tried the same thing, but we'll see if it works out. He's going to have a little bit of work to do here as Koke Lopez. You can see him down there in 12th position, but what's the gap relative to the rest of the field? It's not going to be a great deal, is it? Guy Barbara just getting overtaken there by Kylian Drumont as the rest of that field filters on through. Let's have a look here with Roach, Enestrosa, Serrano. So Enestrosa biffed it up the inside. He was too late on the brakes into Sasaki. And Serrano just an innocent passenger there, but Roach saw the doors opening like the seas were parting and walked straight through it. That almost worked if Sasaki wasn't there. it would have been fine, basically. So it didn't work then, is what we're saying? Almost, you know. It's Sasaki, meanwhile, managing to close that gap a little bit to Valerio Gallo at the end of lap 2 there. Important to do that, I think, because Enestrosa there getting a 1 second penalty. To be fair, that is consistent with what the stewards have done so far, so not entirely surprised to see that. Yeah, no surprise at all there. Here is Jose Serrano, 1/3 of the Nations Cup lineup, which won the title in 2023. Back when that was a team-based competition. For 2024, it is an individual competition. It's winner takes all stakes. And we look forward to seeing what is going to happen in the World Finals. Takuma Sasaki still with Callum Roach right on his rear wing as he tries to find his way past. At the moment, they're all being relatively well behaved as it stands for now. You can see a fair big gap there back to Drummond. Of course, they've all made their pit stops, as we know, but 25 seconds or so. So Drummond with a nice bit of clear air in front of him, but he's not got too much of a time to sit there and think about it, because he's got Barbara de Bruyn very close behind. Lopez, in turn, is about 3 or so seconds off the back of that field at the moment, so he can run relatively comfortably for the time being. But if he does pick up the pace, he'll begin to get into the dirty air, which, as we know, is quite prominent on these heavy downforce cars.
Yeah, of course. So always good to keep that in mind. So good to note, by the way, our current Nations Cup standings. We have 6 drivers who are sort of within touching distance of the lead. We've got Coco Lopez leading on 8 points, Valerio Gallo 7, Miyazono 6, then Drummond, De Bruyn and Serrano all on 5 points apiece. So either of these drivers with a good result today could see themselves rocket to the top of the order. It's been a very close season so far, and this is, I think, going to continue into the grand final.
I just love this circuit as well. The fantastic atmosphere. Of course, it is a fictional track, but it's based on a real-life location, the Grand Valley Highway, and just the scenery is beautiful, especially as you head over that viaduct in particular. The wide shot there making these cars looking absolutely resplendent in the sunshine. Roach still keeping tabs here with Takuma Sasaki, not letting him have a lot of breathing room at all.
I was going to say on the circuit, I was going to sort of get my my glasses on under the Alanoids and say that I'm not quite sure it's to be a grade 1 circuit with these cars. Tom, there's not much runoff there. There's literally a cliff there.
Yeah.
If you get it wrong.
That's a rally stage, right?
Yeah, that is. Luckily, none of our guys testing whether the Expo 2019 can fly or not. For now, anyway. Coco Lopez going from bad to worse for him. Looking down at that. 12th place, 4 seconds at the back. What do you do if you're Coco Lopez? I mean, he's our current Nations Cup leader. I've got a feeling he won't be after this race.
No, it's a very good opportunity for others to capitalise. Miyazono, Gallo, all within touching distance. Gallo on 7 points, Miyazono on 6 points, despite failing to score last time out in the second round of the championship in Prague. So we'll see whether he's able to take advantage of that. But like you say, Lopez, he needs a minor miracle at the moment. There is Adriano Carrazza sitting in 6th position for now. Kind of in no man's land really at the moment, because Jose Serrano is up ahead of him by about 1.7 seconds or so.
Yeah, so, I mean, not much you can really do at the moment in that scenario, but Miyazono, 5 seconds to the lead now, and Gallo's just been passed, actually, by Sasaki. We've just missed that on the screen. I think it's just ahead of us right now using the slipstream, so Gallo down to 3rd place, Sasaki up into 2nd, but Roach there as well, so these 3 cars really close for 2nd place right now, and they need to be careful about this. We say this so often that, obviously, you're a racing driver, you want to be as high up the order as possible, but if you're squabbling every corner, you're just giving time away to the cars around you who are not doing that, who are driving on the ideal racing line, not having to brake earlier or later. So you have to really make sure the move is worth making before you make it.
Yeah, Miyazono putting an absolute cracker of a strategy at the moment so far. You can see there 5 seconds he's got in 5 laps or so, so he's putting a good chunk of time compared to the rest of the field. The question is, how much is he putting into his tyres? How long are they going to last? Of course, the mediums will be longer. They're a harder compound, relatively speaking. But of course, the converse with that is that they are slower over the course of 1 lap. So we'll see how that's going to pan out for Miyazono and when those tyres will start to degrade to the point where they don't have any performance advantage over the medium shod runners. Just to give you an idea of how much quicker Miyazono was, last lap around a 1:27.159, Sasaki a 1:27.748, so about 6/10 of a second or so to the good of his compatriot. Let's have a look here at Sasaki versus Gallo then. So this is through the right-hander on towards the start-finish straight, and a big snap of oversteer there for Gallo.
They did well to gather that. That could have very easily been similar to what we've seen with Kylian Drummond all the way back in Montreal, where he spun it just coming out the corner. These cars, a lot of horsepower, over 800 brake horsepower in these cars, and these guys don't like running the TC, so imagine trying to control that every lap with tyres that are getting steadily worse, and you can see Gallo's problem. And to add to that, Callum Roach is now part of Gallo's problem. It's become down to T1. That little kink there, I think, saves a lot of people into the first corner, because
no doubt about
it turns it into a bit of a one-line corner, that. So this corner coming down here, T6 ahead, but no, isn't a one-line corner. Let's see if Callum Roach in front can do anything. We're on board with Jose Serrano. Good viewing seats here for Jose Serrano, but he's going to be a bit higher right now, although to his credit, seems to have the best tyre condition of all the drivers around him on our information we have here. So just whispering to those medium tyres at the moment.
I'm loving this gyro-style cam that we're using here in the GT World Series. We've been using it for a good number of years. Have you noticed Formula 1 have started using it?
Miyazono, penalty.
Yeah, so what's happened there?
Must have been track limits somewhere. 1 second penalty, so he must have just taken a little bit too much out on one of the corners. Very easy to do that around here. Track limits very strict in these GT World Series events because, trust me, if there's an advantage to be had, well, these drivers will find it. And the stewards right on that. That 1 second penalty, it's not really a 1 second penalty though, is it, Tom?
No, because it's about 1.5 seconds. You lose all the time and the speed as a result of taking that penalty, because of course your car slows down to a set speed. So Miyazono, it's not put him on the back foot as such, because he's still got a healthy margin. He'll still manage to retain the lead, but all of the advantage that he's built up, 5.5 seconds or so there and thereabouts, he's just being washed away. Now let's have a look and see what happened here. So this will be one example of extending the track limits. Oh, he just hit the wall on the outside there. And that will just, again, that'll be one example, because it's all awarded in the game. It's not done by the stewards, this one. So essentially they'll be accruing all these incidents over the course of it. So that's just, let's say, one example of it.
So strict, isn't it? I mean, these guys are the best in the world, so you expect that from them, but it can be very easy to make that mistake, and really definitely punish here for Miyazono. You can see there how we work our penalty system there. He crosses at the penalty line, the car has to slow down for a second, then you get back on the gas again. So that time slowing down, that time speeding up, all takes away from the cars around you. Still on board here with Jose Serrano, still in the same place as he was last lap, but again, just looking after those tyres. I think this is a sensible thing to do in this position. If the cars in front of you aren't that slow, moving at a good pace, just keep the tyres alive, stay within touching distance, maybe also save a bit of fuel. That's going to be a big part of this race here. There's going to be 35 litres or so of extra fuel needed for these guys over the course of the race distance. It's 3 seconds, 3 litres per second, isn't it? Sorry, I did get it right.
It's going to take about 20 seconds or so to fill the car up, isn't it, there and thereabouts, or possibly a little bit more than that, to think of it.
So if you can save 3 litres, you get yourself a 3 seconds.
Absolutely, which is night and day in a race.
Yeah, just something that Miyazono just lost.
Yeah, exactly. So Miyazono is still leads, but look at those rear tyres. They're now coming towards the end of their useful life, and indeed he comes into the pit lane then at the end of lap 7. So we're going to have a new leader. It'll be Takumi Sasaki, followed by Valerio Gallo. The question is, where does Miyazono emerge in relation to the rest of the field? Is he going to be right down plumb last, or he's not going to be plumb last, is he? He's going to come out ahead of Drummond here. He'll slot back in theory into a nice little gap there, Takumi Miyazono. He's onto the medium tyre, so he's not going to be a sitting duck compared to the medium shod runners behind him as well. So this will work out quite nicely for him, and he can just go and run his own race and just set the pace as he needs to. He exits out of the pit lane then at the start of lap 8, onto the medium tyres here for the former race leader.
I think that was quite clever. I think he took the penalty and went, okay, right, I've now lost a bit of time. Where am I going to come out? Okay, there's a nice big gap there. Let's go into that. Let's put the mediums on and let's just run, as you say, Tom, some nice, consistent laps. Here's what we think the tyre strategy is going to be, although we've seen people coming on lap 1 for the get rid of the hard tyre, so that throw that out the window, get rid of that. But the hard tyre, it just doesn't seem to be viable on a lot of his races. It doesn't heat up quick enough, doesn't quite have that pace, and the longevity isn't worth it for the sprint races.
No, we did have a time where we had like a minimum tyre period where you had to run it for a minimum of 3 or 4 laps or something like that, but for reasons unbeknownst to myself, we're not doing that at the moment. So drivers just getting off the hard tyre as quickly as they possibly can. You can see Sasaki there just kicking up a bit of dust into the face of Valerio Gallo, who had that warning sign, if you remember, a few laps ago. Meanwhile, right behind them, Callum Roach and Jose Serrano very close to one another. Roach in 3rd place, but Serrano bearing down on the American driver as we come across the timing line. And Serrano looking to try and make a move on Roach in towards turn 2. He's got the inside line and he's got track position, but can he make the move stick? Roach gives him racing room. There's a little hint of contact going through turn 2. On the exit, they still continue to run side by side as they flick it through the left-hander. We're going to come into a right-hander before too long. Roach it is that's still in front, and Serrano I don't think is going to be there unless he's going to have a lunge to the inside, but it's still fairly early in this race to be making moves as rash as that.
And we've seen that trouble with that first corner. You just can't quite get there alongside. To go up the inside for the hairpin, you need to go the long way around to get there. So you need a big overspeed. Serrano just about got there, but Roach's exit was good enough that he could just pull back ahead and stay in 3rd position for now. On board with Valerio Gallo, currently 2nd in our points standings. It's been a good last race out of him, of course, taking the win at Prague. Will we see a repeat here at Tokyo and the Grand Valley circuit here. I don't know. I mean, he's done well so far. He's had that one moment, but again, it's doing what he sort of needs to do, just sort of staying where he needs to be, maybe saving a little bit of fuel. But we all know following a car in front can also increase tyre wear. So here is a replay of Serrano's attempted move on Callum Roach. Didn't quite come off him.
Yeah, had a look on the inside there. Roach gave him racing room, fair play, because he could have closed the line there and we could have ended up with a car possibly going off into the sea. But Roach just holding firm on the outside, knowing that the track and the traction would come to him a little bit later on around that corner, and so he holds on to third place. Carranza's picked up a penalty as well, so presumably that must also be for track limits, because we haven't seen stewards investigating anything at the moment. Meanwhile, Serrano there still sitting in 4th position. Carranza 1.8 seconds back of that, soon to become a little bit further back than that, which might see Nostroza able to take profit and move himself up into 5th.
I get the impression that both Roach and Gallo are getting just a little bit impatient. I don't like that stat. Not a fan of that stat.
Is that because your parents?
It's because I'm very close to that myself, and they've got blowing this stat up. Oh, whatever. Anyway.
How's your back today? Is it all right?
I don't want to talk about it.
Did you squeak when you woke up? Did you have to like stick some WD-40 on it or something? That happens as you get older, right? So I've heard. Anyway,
leave me alone.
Valerio Gallo it is at least. Look at the fuel consumption, by the way. We were mentioning about that a little bit earlier on. Miyazono, who led this race quite comfortably by a margin of about 4 seconds or so when he came in for his pit stop, he's only used a litre of fuel more than Takuma Sasaki, so it's working out quite nicely for him here so far.
Callum Roach, though, who we said has been quite quick, is really using quite a lot of fuel at the moment, so he needs to bring that down. Yeah, that's what I said earlier on. We reckon it's about 35 litres extra you're going to need to box for to complete this race distance. Look at the mirrors, you can see just behind there, Valerio Gallo, Callum Roach there, large in the mirrors once again. Will he go for a move? He's going to stay there for now. I think he knows he's got to save that fuel. Big lift there from Callum Roach just to make sure that he can match these guys on fuel.
13 seconds it will take for that extra 35 litres to go into the tank. Just a bit of quick...
Yeah,
I know, I tell you what, it's like I listen to the briefings that we had before the start of this one. Jose Serrano now right on the back of Callum Roach once again. The top two trying to build a bit of a gap out to the likes of Roach and Serrano, just to give them that bit of breathing space, really. It's important that they're able to run their own race and not get too much bother from behind. It's going to be a bit of a slow burner, this one, so once the strategies all begin to diverge and then they pick up a little bit later on, we'll see exactly how it is all going to play out. At the moment, Miyazono is doing an absolutely superlative job. What's his pace relative to the other medium short runners? 27.6? That's pretty good. It's not the fastest, but it's okay, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in the ballpark. It's one of the quicker medium runners, but it's faster than the guys up front by a fair bit, so that's one to keep an eye on, it seems, because all the while Miyazono is lapping quicker than the cars that we're watching right now. When all the pit stops are said and done, that gap's going to come back to him. Callum Roach getting it a bit wrong there through the right-hander. That'll make these next set of corners even more difficult. Will be slow off his exit. Serrano might have a chance there, just dipping a wheel there into that gravel on the outside. You can only dip it in there a little bit, though. You saw what happened to Gallo when he tried it. Almost lost the car. Through the tunnel then, and then back out into the sunshine as we go on to lap 12 of 27. Serrano here in the tow of Callum Roach. Will he lift? Let's have a look. No, he's going for it. He thinks he's a bit quicker than the cars in front. He's going to try and go for the move now. Yeah, forced it this time. Late on the brakes. Comes back across the front of Callum Roach. Forced him to slow down. Oh, but a little bit of oversteer on exit, but I think he's still got the move made.
Yeah, that's the beauty of that corner, is it can just give you an opportunity to live another day, as it were. Roach is not going to take this one lying down, though. He might try and send it back through on the inside into the hairpin. Nope, Serrano's got him covered off for now. So Roach is going to have to think about it a little bit later on in the lap. The thing is, though, look at what that's done. It's only one overtake, but the gap it's built for Gallo is up to 1.2 seconds or so, from about 0.6 of a second, so it's doubled just as a result of that one manoeuvre.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Valerio Gallo right now, I am P2 in the standings. My main rival is currently last and not going to score any points. And Miyazono, I guess now would be the closest in the standings to him, seemingly out front. Just take it easy, I think, at this point, because whatever happens, the gap going into the grand final isn't, into the world final isn't going to be big enough that you can be comfortable. So I think just take it easy for now, Valerio. Save that little bit of fuel. Think about the long race here, as I think he is doing, and just no more silly mistakes. Sometimes the mistakes creep into Valerio when he's under pressure.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he's wise to that one. Miyazoni's been able to bring the gap down to Adriano Corazza to about 2 seconds or so. So these medium tyres, again, now coming towards the end of where they need to be, really.
Pace is good.
So that means that they're going to be coming into the pits before too long. Lap 13 out of 27 we are, and you can see just how much Miyazono picked off of Takuma Sasaki in terms of the lap time difference. 0.3 of a second on lap 10, nearly a second on lap 11, and that gap is going to just increase over the next couple of laps or so, depending on when Sasaki decides to come into the box.
Yeah, I mean, like every lap, it's 6/10 average there between all those. So really is getting on now. It's Takuma Miyazoni. He's got to do this. This is the stint, the important stint for him. Whenever you have clear track in front of you, you've got to push into that gap. You've got to really use the tyre when you can. Sasaki, I get the impression he is trying hard, but the tyres are just starting to fall away from him now. Those rear tyres are getting to a point where they're going to start being, basically, you start sliding, they heat up more, you slide more, and it's just you just tumble down the well from there, you know.
So put a bit of flesh on the bones for me, Jimmy. If you're Takuma Miyazoni, you've got to get yourself into that zone. How do you not let the pressure come to you as a driver?
I mean, to be honest, it's quite easy when you have no one around you. You just go, right, okay, I know how to drive this circuit, I know my braking points, I know the speed I have. Let yourself get into that rhythm. I mean, I know there's a big crowd behind you. I know you can hear the commentary as you're in the event as well, but you've got a set of very good headphones on. Just focus on what you're doing. You can't control anyone else, and you control what you're doing. And Miyazono is so good at that. So we'll keep an eye on him. We'll keep an eye on how he progresses. Sasaki, of course, still out, still not boxing. Corazza opting to come into the pit lane as in Estroza gets what I suspect is a track limit penalty a bit wide there for Sasaki. That would have slowed both him and Gallo up somewhat. Lap time-wise, Sasaki can see there 28.3, which compared to Miyazono on his last lap, he did a 27.2.
So Gallo we ride on board with, then Sasaki, a bit of a warning sign. A handful of corners ago, that snap of oversteer, and those snaps of oversteer might not sound like a lot, but they can prove to be very detrimental to your race, especially if you allow the competitor that's chasing you to get through. You can see just how committed these drivers are having to be going through this series of corners as well, going through the daylight into the tunnel and then back into the daylight once more as we head through the final sector. This circuit full of undulation, full of lots of twists and turns, and a lot of medium speed corners as well. And you can see there, that again, just going onto the curb on the outside, that's a great opportunity for the rear to snap away from you, especially as your tyres get that all more worn. In terms of the lap times, Miyazono last time around 27.2, Sasaki at 28.3. So Miyazono really in the groove at the moment, and crucially a lot faster than the medium shot runners who have not pitted yet in front of him. So we'll wait to see how long it's going to be before these drivers blink, because I think as soon as Sasaki blinks, the rest of the drivers are probably going to follow suit because they want to try and stay as close as they can. They decide not to at the end of lap 14 though.
Still going round for now. Fuel looking pretty similar throughout the top three, but Callum Roach definitely in a fuel deficit in fourth place right now. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Robbie Heck, long way off the back of the field. Not quite sure what happened to him. I think he's probably taking his fuel now and is just hoping he can drive into a gap, but he is actually not too far ahead of this little pack here, and he might end up being lapped, which disaster, of course, for Robbie Heck. This event definitely not gone his way.
No, Robbie Heck with a fair bit of work to do. Like you say, he has taken fuel, no doubt about that, but 40 seconds off the back of the rest of the field. Something of a quiet race for him so far. Just
there is.
Yeah, so 72 seconds, 72 litres of fuel he's got on board, so he definitely has taken that fuel on board compared to the rest of the field. But this is interesting as well because it kind of forces the hand, actually, of the top five, because they will need to take fuel, I'm sure, the next time around, unless they're going to do the hard tyres and just do that one lap in the middle of the race.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I'm not sure how you want to do it that way, but we'll see what the drivers come up with. We are now past midway in this race. Watching Jose Serrano, of course, Nations Cup champion as part of Team Spain in 2023. This year hasn't quite had that same fire. He's been fast, but he's not quite been someone who's been in contention for the win, I think it's fair to say, this year.
It's really easy, isn't it, for things like this to snowball as well. You start off on the wrong foot and suddenly it just gets worse and worse. And for the drivers as well, I'm not just talking about the events. Now we do see the pit stops coming in. So the top two go in, but Serrano thinks he's got enough life left in his tyres to go for one more lap. So he's going to try the overcut, the rest of the field try find the undercut. Seemingly, Sasaki, Gallo, Roach and Inestrosa all in the box. Just finishing my earlier thought, it's easy for things to snowball. And if you start off on the wrong foot, your sprint race doesn't work out well. It can really, again, put you on the back foot for the grand final. Look at Koke Lopez as a prime example of that. He's made no inroads, no impression so far in this race. Now, a divergence in tyres here as well. So Sasaki has gone to the hard tyres, but is taking no fuel on board. Likewise, Inestrosa as well. But you can see the soft shop runners are putting fuel on board and they're putting the soft tyres on. So they are going to have to put the hard tyres on what presumably will be the final lap of the race.
I think the idea maybe is just to try and run that hard in the best possible situation, so low fuel and not much distance, but we'll see. There you go, refueling rate, the one that I couldn't quite say properly earlier, it's 3 litres a second, so every 3 litres in the car you're stationary for 1 second, and it means that you have to really think about your fuel saving strategy around here, be it just lifting and coasting a little bit, maybe not revving as much down the straight, or even turning the fuel mix down in car, all things you can do as a driver to control that rate of fuel.
Quite a race so far for Kylian Drumont. Was expecting a little bit more from the Frenchman, actually. I think he'd have been expecting a bit more of his season up to now as well. Didn't get an extra score in Montreal. Got a handful of points on the board in Prague, but we know that he's got the pace to be a world champion. We know he's got the talent to do it as well, but this season proving to be an uphill struggle for the young Frenchman as Serrano comes into the box at the end of lap 16.
Yeah, I think Drumont, I mean, he's very much an everything or nothing. You'll get a win or you'll get a DNF from Kylian Drumont, which, to be fair, you know, Colin McRae strap.
Win it or bin it.
Works okay, but there's a reason why he only won the WRC once, isn't there? So there you go. But Serrano at the pits on that hard compounder tyre, not opting for fuel. So he's going for the right. I'm going to go out, use this hard tyre with as less fuel as possible and just try and get around quickly and then come in for that soft afterwards.
Look at the advantage that Miyazono's got here now as well. He now leads the race after having pitted and done that divergence and strategy, but he's got 9, nearly 10 seconds of an advantage over Kylian Drumont. Don't forget to vote for your Michelin driver of the day after the race. During the extra lap press conference is when we will be announcing that. either.BraiN here on Serrano, going for a move on the inside.
Lovely.
That's a lunge from the Dutchman. Gets it done quite nicely and moves up into 4th position.
Now, again, to the benefit of Kai, he is +8 so far in this race. I mean, he's used the harder medium, so he's still got the soft tyre to come, as either.BraiN. So this could be a good run for Kai. I mean, we know Miyazono and Drumont both have to go on to... Miyazono has to go on to the hard tyre at some point. So it maybe isn't quite over yet.
And this is the thing, isn't it? These divergence and strategies. We saw it in the Manufacturers' Cup a couple of hours ago, where drivers will go onto the soft tyre at the end of the race, and that means they're inherently that much quicker. So this could prove to be a very exciting strategy here for either.BraiN. 9.5 laps to go. We'll keep an eye on what is going to happen here for the Dutchman, because as Jimmy said, he's made a brilliant ascension through the field, a nice quiet race for him, and a podium finish would not be an unwelcome sight at all, especially given where he was in that sprint race about half an hour or so ago now, because he deserves a podium for either.BraiN. We know he's got good pace. We've seen it over the course of the last couple of years or so. Comes into the pit lane then with 8 litres of fuel left on board. Drumont also into the box as well. The Frenchman here could be on for a strong result, quite possibly 2. And Koke Lopez likewise coming in as well. You wonder where it's all gone wrong for the Spaniard. It's not proven to be a particularly fortuitous race. So Drumont and DeBruyne in. They'll be taking fuel on board at this stage as well. Crucially, Drumont having to take about 3 fewer litres compared to DeBruyne there as well. So his pit stop will be shorter by a handful of seconds.
That is that's a long time for those softs to last. That's 9 laps. And we've seen that the furthest we've seen them taken so far was Robbie Heck with 8 laps, and they were pretty knackered at the end of that. So I don't know. I mean, it's going to be
bold.
It's having a go. Why not? You've got to have a go. And there you go. There's the advantage of sorting your fuel out. So Rhino out ahead of either.BraiN, and Kylian Drumont up the road from both of them.
Yeah, DeBruyne losing 2 places there as a result of that longer fuel stop, essentially. So Drumont's now into 8th position, and he's got a good, comfortable cushion, actually, of about 25 seconds or so compared to Callum Roach in front of him. So he can just drive his own race at the moment. Roach and all the field in front of him owe another pit stop in this race. So let's see what happens here for Kylian Drumont. Has he pulled a bit of a blinder to get himself into podium contention in the latter stages of this race? At the moment, it's still Miyazono that leads by some 12 seconds. I think the victory for the likes of Drumont and Serrano, etc., are going to be that step too far. But as Sasaki comes into the pit lane with 8 litres of fuel and Barbara with 2 litres of fuel, they make their final stops, seemingly, in this race. Now, where does Sasaki go? Does he decide to go for the soft tyre? He surely has to, yeah, because everyone else around him is going to be on the soft tyre, and his will be 1 lap pressure compared to those who pitted last time around as well.
I was going to say, I wonder what happened to Valerio Gallo, but he took fuel earlier in the race, so he's got he's got fuel to the end now, whereas Corazza and Miyazono both need to pit for pretty much a full tank. So let's see where Gallo actually comes out here. So Gallo's going to be quite competitive with his drivers around him once Miyazono boxes. Sasaki coming onto that soft compounder tyre and now leaving the pit lane. Does he come out ahead of this little train behind him? This will be absolutely... he needs that. No, he doesn't. Behind Serrano, and not just about coming out ahead of Kai De Bruin, but Sasaki back into the pack now. So you're seeing what the lack of fuel saving has done. Even though Sasaki led most of the start of this race here after Miyazono boxed, that was it. He didn't quite save the fuel in the right way, and now he's back in the pack again.
Well, it's proven to be a bit costly for some drivers here, this fuel strategy. So Drummond there in 5th position. Serrano and Sasaki not too far adrift. Now Miyazono into the pits. Oh, look at that for a fuel strategy. 1 litre left. You can't cut it any finer than that. If there's a man who knows how to eke the maximum out of his car, it is Takuma Miyazono. And don't think that he was slow last time around as well. He was a 27.6 across the line, so it's not like he's been doing massive fuel saving. He's just timed it really well.
Yeah, I mean, like, onto that hard compounder tyre now. Now here's the agonising part of the drive. You just have to wait for this fuel to go in. Now, Gallo has gone up into the lead, into 2nd place. Corazza in the lead right now. Corazza's got to come in at some point. He hasn't got enough fuel to get to the end, so take him out of the equation. Yeah, and Gallo's also got to serve another pit stop because he owes the hard compounder tyre, doesn't he? But what's the gap, I think, to Miyazono? That is the big question. Well, Miyazono's surely going to come in because he's not going to finish the rest of this race 7 laps on the hard tyre. That would be very detrimental in comparison to everybody else. The longest stint we've seen on the hard tyre to date is 3 laps, and it's about 1.7 a second a lap slower. So I'm sure that Miyazono's going to do 1 and done. Surely not, because like that's going to give the race away doing that. Well, unless he wants to have more pace at the end. But a hard tyre for 7 laps, that's a risky strategy. But he had to come in because he needed fuel. He had no choice, did he? That's not worked out very well for Takuma Miyazono. I think he's made a mistake there, if I'm honest. Because if you come in again now, you're giving away, I don't know, 15 seconds? For then the converse is that you'll have more pace at the end of the race, but you've got to make those positions up. You've got to gain that time back, essentially. Kai De Bruin picks up a 1-second penalty for a collision then. So that's unfortunately going to put pay to any possible podium results for the Dutchman, I'm afraid. So, Corazza is that leads then. Let's try and work out this one. I'm sitting here looking at this. So Corazza leads. He owes another compound of tyre. How much fuel has he got on board? Not enough. He's got 6 litres. So he's going to come in at the end of this one. You can forget about him. Gallo's already taken fuel. He owes another pit stop because he hasn't run the hard compound of tyre. Here is De Bruin about to serve his penalty, by the way, and allows Sasaki to go through into 7th position. And then further down the order, you've got Callum Roach, again, owes another pit stop, owes the hard compound of tyre, has got fuel on board. Miyazono on the hard tyre. To the end of this one, over the course of 7 laps, he's going to be right up against it if that is indeed his strategy. If he's going to go to the end of this race on the hard compound of tyre, he's going to be hemorrhaging time. But of course, he's got that in his back pocket for now. It just depends on what happens with everybody else once they have all sorted their strategies out. I was going to say, I feel like this race is sort of coming to Valerio Gallo at the moment, from what I can see on him and Callum Roach looking very fast. I just don't think that being on that hard time, I mean, we'll check out Miyazono's lap times, but I just don't think he's going to be able to compete with those on the soft around him. I mean, we are going to see Gallo and Roach and the like come in for that hard tyre. They have to use that at some point. But it's going to be fresher, and they're going to have similar fuel, and the gap is always growing at the moment. So it basically depends on how long Gallo can stay out on this soft tyre and how long he can keep the pace up of the 26s.
Let's have a look at De Bruin here with Sasaki. So this is the penalty that he picked up. He goes up the inside of Sasaki. Pushes him wide a little bit onto there, and then there's a smattering of contact as Sasaki rejoins, tries to close the door a little bit, and, well, there we go. Right, so Corazza's in, no fuel left on board, 0 litres. That, well, didn't they? Yeah, there's as close as you like, and then there's running on fumes. I reckon that he probably had to coast the last couple of metres for that one. Serrano's picked up another penalty here of a second as well, due to track limits.
I'm keeping an eye on the lap times of Takuma Miyazono. This is really important now. Gallo still has a good bit of tyre life left. I think he can take these tyres maybe a couple more laps. We've seen 8 laps out of some of the cars so far. We might even see 9 if that tyre can go that far.
So what Gallo needs to do here is he needs to drive as fast as he possibly can, but the problem is that he owes that hard compound of tyre. He needs to build up that gap so that when he takes that final pit stop, he's got that cushion in his pocket if Miyazono is going to stay out on the hard compound of tyre. There's a lot of ebbing and flowing to go in this race, and you can see the difference in tyre compounds here and how important that is. Look at that. Drumont last time around, he's on the soft tyre, Miyazono's on the hard. 2.1 seconds. That's a fortnight around here.
And that's something else as well. If Drumont catches Miyazono, and there's no defending against that sort of lap time differential, you're going to just drive by the guy at that point. I really think this has all come undone for Miyazono. I think what happens, he just misjudged the fuel and got to the point where he had to change tyres coming in, and he didn't get to use all the medium stint time. I mean, for example, people ran that medium tyre 15 to 17 laps. He only did 12 before he boxed, so he lost out on 5-6 laps of that medium speed.
Well, if he's bothered about it, he's not letting his facial expressions show it.
No, he's not,
when does he ever, to be fair? So lap 22 out of 27 we're on then. It's Gallo that leads, Roach in second. Roach again still owes that hard compound of tyre, but has the same fuel as Valerio Gallo. So that is a de facto position there for Callum Roach as it stands for now, because he's in exactly the same position, exactly the same strategy. Of course, he's got 5.5 seconds, 5.9 seconds now, as a matter of fact, to Valerio Gallo. So once it all pays out, I reckon that Roach will probably drop down to third, maybe fourth position here. But Drumont is closing.
Drumont's going to be the one to look out for. Drumont is really fast right now, but we do know that soft compound has got to go all the way to the end, so it's going to be a bit of a struggle for Kylian Drumont, but he's got the pace. Watch out for the Frenchman. I think maybe he's becoming a contender here. He had a really good middle stint, which put him in the position he's in now, but he does have the caveat that he's got Takuma Miyazono ahead now, who does not have to stop again. He's not going to just let you by. He's going to defend that position for his life. And same for Drumont. These guys don't have to stop. Roach and Gallo do need to stop, and both need to go into that line. Look at that lap differential there. 2 seconds and 1.7 seconds.
This will be the end of this lap.
Yeah, he'll be there.
There's nothing that Miyazono is going to be able to do here, and Drumont's just going to go driving on by. So I said about the fuel strategy and Miyazono eking it out as long as he possibly could, and that could prove to be to his undoing here, because Miyazono significantly slower than Drumont, who got the carrot very well and truly dangled in front of him for a potential race victory, or at least a podium here this afternoon. And don't forget, of course, points all the way down to 6th place and the World Finals to come at the start of December. So every position is going to be absolutely critical. Through the chicane we go, on towards the start-finish straight, and this is going to be like taking candy from a baby for Drumont versus Miyazono, because there is going to be nothing that the Japanese driver is going to be able to do. So through the tunnel and bursting into the daylight, Drumont in the slipstream then here. I don't think he's going to make it into turn 2. Well, he's certainly closing. It kinks low left, and Miyazono's going to park the car on the middle, and unless Drumont can send it down the inside, which he can't, Miyazono parks it on the outside. But it's the exit of this corner where Drumont will have greater traction underneath him, and he may be able to set something up into the next right-handed hairpin. He's in the slipstream here of Miyazono, and he's surely going to be launching a move for the inside for third position. Down into the right-hander we go, and Drumont gets the better of Takuma Miyazono and moves up into third place. How critical is that going to be for the Frenchman?
Yeah, I think that was something that Miyazono was a bit clever let that happen. I think he knows that he can't defend right now. When you're on that hard compound of tyre, it's not a reflection of the driver's skill. You just don't have the grip, which means you can't get out of the corners as fast, you can't brake as well, you can't use the high-speed grip as well. So you just find yourself managing, which is why the drivers all try and get off the hard tyre as soon as possible. And why we were so surprised to see him try and take it so long, he's got to take it to the end still from here. So what we're watching now is, when will Gallo pit? When will Roach pit? I assume fairly soon, just because those tyres are soft tyres. Roach into the pit lane. Okay, this will be a good indicator of where Drumont is in relation to Gallo, who's opted for another lap.
But Gallo's tyres are more worn than Roach's.
And the times are, I mean, they're not there. 28.3. Drumont is really becoming a contender now. Yeah,
Drumont could be in for the victory then here this afternoon in the grand final in Tokyo. Well, we said if in doubt, flat out, win it or bin it style, and it's not been a particularly fortuitous season so far for the young Frenchman, but it is coming to him absolutely handsomely here. Finished on the podium at last time out in Prague with 5 points on the board, and he could be set to take a maximum of 6 here today as well. And Miyazono's race still continues to unravel, because Serrano is now right on the back of him as well.
Roach comes out in P7, so I think the pit stop's slightly longer than we anticipated there for Callum Roach, which by my maths means that I don't think Gallo's got the gap he needs.
Well, it's 25 seconds. That's going to be tight,
That's a
though,
lot.
isn't it? It depends on how much fuel he's got on board. 14, it's about the same, isn't it? He's not going to take any fuel, so that's fine. Okay, right, so Gallo then. This is going to come down to the pit stops then here for the victory of this race. There is Kylian Drummond just up the road in the blue X29 but Serrano is again putting the pressure onto the back of Takuma Miyazono, who's in no man's land. He's got no answer to this one, and his race has come well and truly unravelled owing to a fuel miscalculation seemingly for him. Gallo into the pits then. 12 litres of fuel left, 2 laps of the race left. He'll make it to the end of that one, but he's going to be on the slowest, harder compound of tyre towards the end of this one, whereas Drummond is going to be on the soft compound of tyre, quicker over the course of this race. And Serrano still continues to pile the pressure onto the back of Takuma Miyazono for that final podium place here.
So where is Kylian Drummond? Going down the straight now, coming over the start-finish line. Gallo there waiting in the pit lane. It must feel like an eternity. And up into the lead goes Kylian Drummond. Go there. Oh, he's down to 4th place there. So hasn't done enough there to maintain the position. Miyazono battling with Jose Serrano, but can't quite keep the place. Serrano up to second. Drummond from seemingly nowhere. 9 positions he's gained this race and is now leading with just under 2 laps to go.
He's done exactly what Coque Lopez wanted to do in Prague, coming from pretty much the back of the field up into the lead of the race. And this has been a quite brilliant strategy with just 2 laps remaining, and he's now got the quickest compound of tyres, fresh tyres, underneath him. And it could be bad to worse here for Takuma Miyazono, because Gallo, Sasaki, Etal are all very close behind. So the podium is very much under threat here for the Japanese driver, who drove a brilliant first stint of this race, but it is coming unravelled to the extreme. And you can see Sasaki piling the pressure onto the back of Gallo. Soft tyres for Sasaki, hard tyres here for Valerio Gallo. And is there anything the Italian is going to be able to do to hold off the charge of the Japanese driver? Over the viaduct we go, into the tunnel. Sasaki's going to have more grip going into the right-hander, but there's no trap position there. But Gallo's a little bit wide. There's a bit of contact. The door is open there for Sasaki, but we flick it left, and Gallo can just live to fight another day as we come onto the start-finish straight. Wide there for Gallo. Sasaki sniffs the opportunity, and he's ready to try and take advantage of it. He's trying every which way he can, but Gallo's defending the line through there. Into the right-hander we go, onto the start-finish straight. Sasaki's got the slipstream. He's going to have trap position, and he's going to get 4th place here. Gallo squeezes him towards the pit wall, but Sasaki goes, thanks very much, and he's up into 4th at the start of the final lap.
Yeah, good attempt there from Gallo to keep that place, but he just can't defend from that straight line speed differential, or can he? Gallo having another go at Sasaki. DiaBoLiCBraiN's back in the mix as well after serving that penalty, so it's not over for Gallo yet. Miyazono still somehow holding on to a podium position, with Kylian Drummond putting away out front. What a fairy tale story for the Frenchman.
And the thing is, for Miyazono, this could come to his aid, because Serrano's on soft tyres, but they're 10 laps old. They're absolutely clapped out. That's the problem, though, is the soft tyres are now beginning to fall off a cliff. Look at the rear tyres here for Drummond and Serrano. 17, 18%. We've only got 1 lap remaining, so it's still not possibly out of the question here for Takuma Miyazono to get second. Is the victory still within his grasp, though? There is Kylian Drummond, and the gap is shrinking down. A 28 flat for him. Miyazono last time around a 28.4, but Miyazono still on the back of Serrano. He needs to dispatch him as soon as he possibly can. I think the victory is going to be out of the question, but second place could be on the cards, and crucial points going into the World Finals as well. If he can find his way through up the inside, it's going to be a tall order, but Kylian Drummond, though, has timed this one to absolute perfection. What a drive and what a strategy for the young Frenchman as he comes through the tunnel for the final time. Kylian Drummond takes his first victory of the season in the Gran Turismo World Series. The Frenchman is on top in Tokyo. It's Jose Serrano in second. Miyazono takes third. Gallo in 4th, just by 0.02 of a second from Takuma Sasaki in 5th, and DiaBoLiCBraiN right close behind as well. World Finals as well. Here are the highlights there for the Grand Final. Takuma Miyazono starting this one on pole position, and he managed to get an early lead on the soft tyres.
He had to do it on that soft compound, as you say, Tom. Very important to use that early, and he did that. This is something you've seen done before, but this might have been something that really affected this race here. A 1 second penalty just for track limits. Very easy to pick that up around here, which saw him box early for that medium compound of tyre, which actually turned out to be his first mistake. Meanwhile, Callum Roach and Jose Serrano had a fantastic battle midway through the race. Great to see Callum Roach up the sharp end of the field, and Serrano there just showing us why he was champion back in 2023.
Yep, so this is the pit stops in the middle stages of the race. You can see drivers there diverting in strategy, some taking on a bit of fuel, others deciding not to do so. There is Takuma Miyazono, and at this point he knows that his race is beginning to come unraveled because he drove a brilliant first stint, and not a bad middle stint either though, but he didn't have enough fuel on board, had to pit, had to do a long stint on the hard compound of tyre. And unfortunately, that was the undoing for him. Meanwhile, Kylian Drummond, who had pitted for the soft tyres, 10 laps before the end of this one, managed to ghost his way up to the sharp end of the field. This is Miyazono versus Serrano with a couple of laps remaining. And Serrano just managing to stave off the charge of him. This is Gallo versus Takuma Sasaki as well for fourth position at the start of the final lap. And it was a bit of a sketchy time for Kylian Drummond because his tyres were wearing down, but fortunately for him, he timed it absolutely beautifully. He came across the line to take victory, his first of the season, which will do no harm at all to his championship challenge. Serrano in second and Miyazono in third place. So, Kylian Drummond takes victory. Let's go down to Sasha and Jules and get all the latest.
Kylian, oh my goodness, a massive round of applause. That was amazing drive.
What a race.
That was, I mean, what were your tyres at the end there? Do you know?
Well, that was complicated to start P10 after the sprint races. So, yeah, I know my pace was really good for the race, so I just gave it my best. And yeah, that was really good.
10番手スタートということでね、スプリントレーススタートで、レースは自信はあったんですけれども、本当に頑張りましたということなんですけどね。いや戦略ですよ。ハードからすぐミディアムに変えて、で最後まで走ったということですが、What a strategy! Was it in your mind starting with hard and changing with first 2 laps and then go with the medium and soft?
Yeah, for the strategy, when I start to do backs, it's obviously sure to start with the bad tires, like the hard tires.
Yes.
So I know the strategy was 1 lap and go off with the mediums and soft for the best at the end with your low fuel. So yeah, that was my strategy, but I was surprised my pace was so really good. So yeah, this is thanks to that.
スタートポジションが悪かったんで、もう一番悪いタイヤを使ってスタートしていこうというふうに決めていたんですね。であとはミディアムとソフトでなるべく軽い燃料で走っていこうというふうに決めていたんですけれども、それがうまくいったということなんですね。What a race!
What a race!
Thank you very much.
Did you enjoy that?
楽しみましたか?
We certainly did. Let's throw it back to Tom and Jimmy.
Yeah, cheers Jules, cheers Sasha. Great to hear Kylian Drummond there. That strategy worked out absolutely beautifully, didn't it?
I see him back on top again. This is a driver that sort of burst onto the scene a couple of years ago, then sort of maybe petered out a little bit, and now we're seeing the speed of the Frenchman. So your results then confirmed on screen. Kylian Drummond takes victory here, the grand final at Tokyo. Serrano second place with Miyazono in third. Gallo fourth, Sasaki fifth, and DiaBoLiCBraiN taking the last point there in sixth. Although the big news really for that is Koke Lopez, the leader going into this round in Tokyo, failed to score. Here's what it does to the points ranking.
Yeah, Lopez from first down to fifth. How the tables have turned for the Spaniard. Consistency was the name of the game for him, and unfortunately, not a consistent round 3 for him. And that means that Kylian Drummond leads by 1 point ahead of Jose Serrano, Takuma Miyazono, and Valerio Gallo going into the World Finals.
Yeah, that's crazy. That top 4, all separated by 1 point. I mean, that is exactly what we want, really, going into Amsterdam. It's going to be an amazing showdown here. But don't forget, of course, to vote for your Michelin Driver of the Day, Miyazono, Drummond, or Valerio Gallo. You can vote, of course, on YouTube in our little poll as well. What do you reckon, Tom?
I would have to say Kylian Drummond based on that strategy. I know that sounds like a bit of a cop-out because he went and won the race, but it was very, very impressive. And you've got to feel for Takuma Miyazono as well. He had the victory possibly in his grasp there. He drove a brilliant first stint, but seemingly a miscalculation, we reckon, for the fuel in that middle stint cost him.
I really think what happens is he goes, all right, okay, I'm going to just serve this penalty now and pit, and then sort of forgot that, oh no.
To be fair, that penalty, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that could possibly, I mean, he was what, 1.7 seconds? That would have been, well, it would have been possibly the race lead, wouldn't it? That penalty could have cost him the victory.
He would have been there. That's how tight these margins are. I said it when it happened. That could affect the race massively, and it does. You've got to be so clean and so precise in this race. It's the smallest mistake. It comes back to bite you.
Have you got the lottery numbers for next Thursday as a result of your Oracle list?
Well, will I be here, Tom, if I...
That's a very, very good... No, you'd be trying to get Minty to work, wouldn't you? Anyway, yeah, Kylian Drummond, beautiful job from the young Frenchman. And as I said, class is temporary, form is permanent. Yeah. Wait a minute, other way around. Form is temporary, class is permanent. Reverse it.
Whatever saying it is.
It's been a long day. It's been a long day. But, yeah, brilliant job from him. I can't overstate how impressive that is as well, because, as I said, he's had something of an anonymous season so far. If you remember back to Montreal when we were at Road at America, he ended up crashing out, didn't he? And, you know, a possible podium finish there slipped through his fingers.
What did we say? He either wins it or DNFs?
Yeah, wins it or bins it.
So he's won it this time.
Yeah, World Finals, aren't we? Don't forget about Amsterdam, of course, of the World Finals, because you can still get your tickets for that as well. They're on sale now.
You can meet Tom Brooks.
I don't know if that's a reason to buy them or
stay away from Amsterdam.
Exactly, yeah, that means the ticket sales are going to go down. But I'm really looking forward to the World Finals, especially considering the fact we've got, what, 4 or 5 drivers all separated by 1 point.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no idea what's happened for that World Final. All I know is it is going to be an amazing spectacle. It always is the Nations Cup. Looking forward to it, mate.
Absolutely. Well, let's get the podium ceremony then underway here in Tokyo for the Nations Cup. Please welcome in 3rd place for the Nations Cup here for World Series 3 from Japan, it's Takuma Miyazono! Second place here for World Series 3, back onto the podium for Spain, it's Jose Serrano! And taking his first victory of the season and the championship lead after World Series 3 in Tokyo, it is the Frenchman Kylian Drummond! And now, ladies and gentlemen, your respect please for the national anthem of France. The national anthem of France plays out for Kylian Drummond, the winner of World Series 3 here in Tokyo. And it's now time for the awards to be presented to our top 3 finishers. 3rd place award is presented by Hiroaki Tanabe, the marketing communications for Brembo Japan, as he makes his way onto the stage here in Tokyo to award the 3rd place trophy. And of course, it goes to Japan's Takuma Miyazono. The 2nd place award is presented by Hiroaki Odashima, the marketing director for Michelin Japan, as he makes his way onto the stage. The 2nd place trophy is awarded to Spain's Jose Serrano. And now time for the award to be presented to the winner of World Series 3 here in Japan. Kazunori Yamauchi, the Gran Turismo series producer, makes his way onto the stage, picks up the trophy, and it is, of course, awarded to our victor from France. It's Kylian Drumont! Well, the celebrations then will begin very shortly, or will continue very shortly, as a matter of fact. Come to think of it, it's been a brilliant race, hasn't it? Really, really superb. And I'll tell you what, it's an absolute treat for the World Finals, which, by the way, I don't know if we mentioned, tickets are on sale now to get yourself to Amsterdam. Get along to that, because you're in for an absolute cracker. Can't wait for it.
Fancy joining us for the World Series Finals? Well, it's going to be happening in Amsterdam, Netherlands, from December the 6th to the 8th at Theatre Amsterdam, which is the same venue as last year's Showdown event. Gold tickets are on sale now. Head on over to GranTurismo.com before they run out. A trip to Amsterdam in December to watch the best Gran Turismo racing. I mean, what's not to like? It's going to be brilliant. But if you can't make it in person, don't worry. You can still catch all of the action online through our YouTube and Twitch channels at GranTurismo.com or directly on Gran Turismo 7. Now there's no excuse to miss the best of the best Gran Turismo racers battle it out in the World Series Finals.
Wow, yes, what some amazing racing. Did you have a good time?
皆さん楽しみましたか? And I have a question. Did you enjoy the Japanese crowd? 皆さん
This is one of the best crowds
Yeah.
we've had.
今までで一番いいお客さんだったそうです。イエーイ Great to hear that.
Yeah, you guys are so into it. We love it. How about you guys? I know you were tucked away backstage,
It's
but...
amazing. It's cost me my voice. My voice is actually going. For the first time, Jules, I'm speechless.
No, that was karaoke last night, Tom. That
You
was
might
not
have,
now.
you might have a point there.
声がちょっと枯れちゃうぐらい盛り上がったそうです。もうね、本当に言葉が出ないけど、ひょっとしたら昨日のカラオケ歌いすぎかもと。
Very, very true.
And Jimmy?
Yeah, I mean, I could hear you guys through my earphones. They're pretty good. So you guys were amazing. I really enjoyed that.
イヤホンしてても皆さんの声が聞こえました。本当に素晴らしかったです。ありがとうございます。
It has been a supreme pleasure to be here in Tokyo, giving you the Manufacturers' Cup and the Nations Cup. It's been a dream, but don't go anywhere because we have our extra lap press conference coming up, so we're going to be interviewing the drivers.
この後もね、皆さんエクストララップでインタビューがドライバーたちありますので、ぜひこのまま残っていただきたいと思います。
And you don't want to miss that, because sometimes it gets a bit spicy.
Certainly does. And Jules, can I just say, 5 drivers, 1 point separating them going into the World Finals.
5人で1点差でワールドファイナル、信じられますかと。Yeah, unbelievable.
You don't want to miss it. Thank you so much for having us, Tokyo. And we will see you very soon next time. Goodbye.
Bye. ありがとうございました。さようなら。
プレイステーション
in Japan as we get ready to celebrate our top three finishes in both the Manufacturers and the Nations Cup. First up, we'll talk to our top three finishers in the Manufacturers Cup. From BMW, Saya Suzuki, from Subaru, Takuma Miyazono, and from Lexus, the winning manufacturer here in Japan, Kanata Kawakami. Let's have a round of applause.
Hakushu.
Kanata, we'll start off with yourself. An amazing strategy for yourself and for Team Lexus. That makes it 2 wins now in 2024, and you lead the point standings going into the World Finals by 4 points as well. How do you feel?
はい、まずは川上さんですけれども、レクサス2勝目ということで素晴らしい戦略で4点差で、2位に引き離してのワールドファイナルに行くということになりますが、お気分はどうでしょうか。
まず、今回優勝できてポイントを重ねることができたというところはすごく嬉しく思います。でワールドファイナルは、トップで迎えればそれほど気持ちも楽になりますし、トップで迎えることっていうところがまず一つ重要なポイントだと思ってたので、実現できて、非常にホッとしております。
Well, I'm happy to grab some points here for the World Finals, and also, I thought it was really important to be on top to go to the finals. So, being at the top, it makes a little bit unstressful to go to the final round, so I'm really happy.
Kanata, congratulations to yourself and also to Lexus.
レクサスそして川上選手おめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
Thank you.
Let's move over to Takuma Miyazono. Takuma, second place for yourself and for Team Subaru. Amazingly, Subaru's first points of 2024. So how do you feel to have taken that honour in front of your home crowd here?
スバルにとって初のポイントということになりましたけども、地元でポイント取れてどんな気分ですか。
はい、やっぱり今年チームメイトが頑張ってくれてたんですけど、今までポイント取れてなかったので、やっぱワールドファイナルに向けて今回5ポイント取れたっていうのは非常に大きいと思いますし、ちょっと優勝には届きませんでしたけど、自分の中ではマニアックシャラに関しては予選も精一杯決めて、決勝もちょっとミスはあったんですけど、戦略も決めて、走り切れたので。結果にはちょっと満足してないんですけど、内容には満足しているので、ワールドファイナル12月にあるんですけど、それに向けてチーム一丸となって、3度目のチャンピオンを取れるように頑張っていこうというふうに思っています。
Well, actually, my teammates did a good job, but they couldn't, unfortunately, score points before. But this time, I'm really happy to score points because, the strategy was good, and also I did pretty well in the qualify and the race. Well, I did a mistake, so I'm not really happy with the result, but I'm happy with the race itself, how I raced. So I'm really happy to go to the grand finals and to the world finals with grabbing the points.
Takuma, many congratulations to yourself and Subaru on second position.
おめでとうございます。そしてスバル2位もおめでとうございます。
はい、ありがとうございます。
Just a reminder before we go and talk to our third place finisher that anybody watching on the chat at home for the press conference is able to ask a question. So if you'd like to ask a question to either to Takuma, to Saya or to Kanata, then you can ask it in the chat or indeed for our Nations Cup coming along the way in a few moments' time. So lastly, let's go over to Saya Suzuki for Team BMW. Saya, an amazing performance for BMW. You're still very much in contention for the championship, just 5 points off the top of the standings. Really consistent results for your team this season. How do you feel?
はい、おめでとうございます。チャンピオンに向けてはですね、5ポイント差ということでまだまだ小さい差なんですけれども、どんな気持ちでしょうか。
はい、まず前回ラウンドのチームメイトが表彰台に上ってポイントを重ねてくれたので、自分もその期待に応えて今回もポイントを取ることはできたんですけれども、とりあえず、自分的には満足できなかった部分もあったので、もうちょっとポイントを重ねることもできたかなと思っております。ただ今回のレースに関しては非常に満足しております。
So at the last race, my teammate did a good job to go up on the podium, so I'm happy to follow that. But I am not really satisfied with my race because I could have grabbed more points, but still, I'm really happy to be here.
So, well, congratulations to yourself and for BMW, and it's all to play for in the World Finals.
おめでとうございます。そしてまだまだワールドファイナルどうなるか分かりませんから頑張ってください。
はい、ありがとうございます。
Thank you.
Wonderful. We've got a question that's come in from the chat for Kanata Kawakami, and the question asks, was there a moment in the race where you thought the victory could slip away from you at all?
チャットからの質問なんですけれども、川上選手に勝ちが遠のくなと思った瞬間はあったんでしょうか？
そうですね、今回のレースの中では、逃げ切りの作戦を取ってはいたんですけども、少しミスをする場面が、何回かありまして、全体で数秒失ったってところが、一つ、後半もしかしたら追いつかれるかなっていうところで、ちょっと危機感は感じてたんですけれども、最後自分がハードタイヤで出てった時の秒数差を考えて、この差なら逃げ切れるかなってところで、ちょっと中盤は自分のミスでヒヤッとする場面が何回かありました。
So my strategy was to bridge the gap and then maintain the gap until the end. But I did a mistake in between a couple of times, so especially at the middle stint. So I was a little bit confused and a little bit worried if maybe somebody will catch me up. But after I pitted out the final pit stop and saw the time gap, I was a little bit relaxed.
Wonderful. Well, Kanata, we now have the Michelin Driver of the Day results in, and we can reveal that you and Team Lexus have been awarded Michelin Driver of the Day in the Manufacturers Cup.
ドライバーオブザデーは川上選手、レクサスになりました。おめでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
Wonderful. Many congratulations to Sai Suzuki from Team BMW, to Takuma Miyazono from Team Subaru, and to Kanata Kawakami from Team Lexus. That brings an end to the Manufacturers Cup press conference here in Tokyo, and we will continue with the Nations Cup press conference in a few moments' time.
はい、マニファクチャーのインタビューは以上ということになります。この後はネーションズカップになりますので、大きな拍手をお送りください。ありがとうございました。
Welcome back to Tokyo for Gran Turismo World Series 3 here in Japan. It's time for the Nations Cup press conference then, as we look forward to talking to our drivers in a few moments' time. But before that, just a reminder that you can get involved in the action as well. If you want to ask a question to either of our top three finishers here tonight, then please do ask in the chat, and we will do our best to get them asked to the competitors. And without further ado, let's meet them. The winner of World Series 3 is Kylian Drumont from France. From Spain, it's Jose Serrano. And from Japan, in third place, it's Takuma Miyazono. Kylian, let's start with yourself first of all. That was incredible, really, really incredible. We were sat there in the commentary box wondering if you were going to be able to pull off that strategy, and I could hear the Spanish commentary box next to us as well, really excited. How do you reflect on that race?
Wow, the race for me was a bit clean, like no traffic, no mistake by me, just go straight to the what I can do with the strategy I did. So yeah, one lap on hards, maybe 17 on mediums, and go to the soft tire and go very fast for go to get the podium victory. So it was happened. So yeah, it was really good.
And now you're leading the championship going into the World Finals. I mean, given the fact that the season didn't start off in the best way when we were in Montreal, how do you feel about that now?
Yeah, for Montreal was a bit hard. Like I finished the race, like win one crash, one strategy. So it was difficult to repair this mistake. So yeah, now it's disappeared. Now I gain a lot of points for disappear this round. So this is really good, and go for the World Finals now.
Kylian, many congratulations. A round of applause for Kylian Drumont. Second place for Jose Serrano. Jose, you're just 1 point away from Kylian at the top of the standings going into this. You're, of course, part of the team that won the Nations Cup in 2023 as well. How do you feel about the result here today, first of all?
Bueno, José, a un punto de Kylian en el campeonato ahora mismo, también ganador del 23. ¿Cómo te sientes después de esta carrera?
Pues la verdad que este evento me ha venido muy bien porque las expectativas que tenía para esta carrera eran un poco bajas, pero la verdad que cuando hemos empezado la carrera ya me he sentido más cómodo y la verdad que ahora me siento mucho más fuerte para la gran final.
Well, at the beginning I had no big expectations to have a good fight here in Tokyo, but the result has been, really, really great for me. So I'm now ready to fight for the championship in Amsterdam. So with this result, so yeah, really, really happy for it.
Jose, many congratulations on second place for Jose Serrano. And third place for Takuma Miyazono. Takuma, an amazing first stint in that grand final, but it all sort of unravelled a little bit in the middle to latter stages of the race. What do you think it was that cost you a chance of victory here today?
素晴らしいファーストスティントだったんですけれども、その後だんだんとなんかちょっと予定が狂ってしまったような感じがあると思うんですけど、何がこの勝利を遠ざけてしまったのか、何が問題だったんでしょ
う。まず一つは準決勝で勝てたんですけど、もうその時にもうなんか喜びすぎたというか、もうそこで一回集中が切れちゃったのかなっていうのがちょっと振り返ってみて今一個思うところで、それが序盤の壁の接触につながってしまって大体あれで 1.5 秒ぐらい失ってしまったので、あれがなければ最後争えてたのかなっていうふうに思いますし、あとやっぱ単純に2人の方がタイヤ持たせるのが上手で、僕はソフト10周走れなかったので、正直実力がまだまだ足りないので、次のワールドファイナルまでまだ2ヶ月少々あるので、彼らに負けないような走りができるようにまた練習を積んでいきたいと思います。
So first of all, I think I enjoyed too much the win of the sprint race. So maybe some concentration went a little bit away for the main race. And that's the reason I touched maybe the wall at the beginning. So that cost a little bit 1.5 seconds maybe. So maybe if that didn't happen, I could fight with them at the end. And secondly, it's simply they were better with the soft tires. I couldn't manage to drive 10 laps. So that means they're better drivers, so I have to prepare more for the World Final and practice. It's 2.5 months, so I have to practice more to be a better driver.
Well, Takuma, third place and still very much in the championship contention, tied on points with Jose Serrano as well. So we wish you all the very best of luck for the World Finals.
はい、セラノ選手とは点も同点ですし、1点差ですから、ワールドファイナルでは期待しております。
今僕って何位なんですかね。
In which ranking am I right now?
You're third.
3位ですよ。
いやちょっと正直1位になったのかなとか勝手に思ってたので、でもこれからチャレンジャーとして巻き返すチャンスだと思うので、はい、最終的に1位になれるように頑張っていきたいと思います。
I actually thought I'm P1, so I'm a little bit, confused, but I'll do my best to be back on P1 after the World Final.
Well, good luck to you there, Takuma. Right, we've got one question from the public, and it's to all three drivers, so we'll ask Killian first of all. Killian, the question goes, what did you prefer, the Grand Final or the sprint race, in terms of enjoyment? What was more fun?
Of course, I will say Grand Finals, because sprint races was completely bad for me. But yeah, sprint races lot of intensity with short race, and yeah, and I prefer, to be honest, the Grand Final, because you need to have a good stint, a good space, a good tire wear, a good everything, good battles, and manage the traffic and everything. So yeah, I prefer the Grand Final for me.
And Josete, yourself?
¿Qué piensas? ¿Qué prefieres, la sprint race o la gran final como formato, como si prefieres más estrategia o una sprint race loca como la que ha sido?
Prefiero lo mismo que Killian, porque la sprint race es una maldita locura.
Yeah, I prefer the same as Killian, the grand final, obviously, because the sprint race is absolutely carnage. It's a crazy race, and yeah, definitely grand final.
Alright. そして宮園選手、質問はチャットから来たんですけれども、スプリントレースとグランドファイナル、どっちのレースのが楽しめましたでしょうか？
グランドファイナルですね。はい。いや、スプリントレースはもうずっともうなんか神経すり減らすような感じで、もう早く終わってほしいなってずっと思ってました。走りながら。
Well, actually, the grand final, because the sprint race, it was like nail biting, so I was like always intense. So grand final was more enjoyable.
Takuma, thank you very much. One final question for yourself from the chat as well. It says, do you think that you could have taken some fuel on the first stint on the soft tyres? Do you think that that would have helped you take the victory here today?
チャットもう一つ来たんですけど、最初のスティントでもうちょっと燃料を減らしてソフトで走ってたら、最後までなんていうのもっと勝負できたかなという、ちょっと燃料積みすぎだったですかっていう。だから1スティント目にすぐその後に給油してたら軽く走れてたんで勝てたかなっていうところですか。
いや給油するときに1回リグさすんですけど、それでコンマ5秒とかまたロスもありますし、仮に燃料を入れてたとしても、ミディアムがあと1週か2週引っ張れたっていうところで、あまり正直結果に大きな影響はなかったかなと思うので、単純に腕が足りてなかったのかなと思いますね。
So even if you are feeling you're gonna lose a half a second with the rigged, even maybe I could run 1 or 2 laps more with the medium tires, but that didn't make a big difference. So at the end of the day, I mean, they were faster than me.
Takuma, thank you very much. And we now announce our Michelin Driver of the Day, and it is awarded to the winner, Kylian Drumont. A round of applause. Wonderful. Well, that does then bring an end to Gran Turismo World Series 3 here in Tokyo. What an event it has been. Huge congratulations to our top 3 finishers. And the championship is so close going into the World Finals, which takes place between the 6th to the 8th of December in Amsterdam. Thank you ever so much for joining us here this weekend. Take care, and we'll see you for the World Finals as we get ready to crown our world champions. Take care. See you then.